Ben McKee, Patrick Brown, Go Vols 24/7 here with our No-Huddle in Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida on New Year's Day, where Tennessee just picked up a big win to conclude the 23 season, picks up the 9th win of the season, but also a nice building block for what's to come in the 2024 season. Tennessee beats Iowa 35-0. Nico Iamaleava makes his first career start, but I'm talking James Pierce Jr. first because James Pierce Jr. was dominant. A sack, a tackle for a loss. The sack was a strip sack, so he forced the fumble and gave the offense the football on the 2-yard line, and he had a pick six in which he made a great play out in the flat and took it 52 yards to the house. I mean, he's just a dynamic athlete. We cover Tennessee, not college football as a whole. Hard to envision a better edge rusher coming back in college football and the SEC next season.
Yeah, Ben, he's a special player. He's the kind of player you need a lot of on defense, and he's all SEC first-team guy, and guys like that can be quiet for a lot of a game, and bam, 2 plays like that are big-time plays that turn a game that was kind of, sort of, not totally done into a rout. I mean, that's what it did, and I mean, he's like I said, he's a difference maker. Tennessee fans enjoy him for one more year because he's probably going to be getting ready to make a lot of money here at this time next year.
Absolutely. He may be making a lot of money next year as well in today's college football climate. Nico Iamaleava, we put it off long enough even to talk about James Pierce Jr. Making his first career start. Not any gaudy numbers, no big numbers, except for, well, he did have 3 rushing touchdowns, and Iowa allowed 4 rushing touchdowns the entire season coming into the game. But passing yards, what was he, about 190 or so, 150
I think.
Yeah, 150 or so, but really efficient, took what the defense gave him, was not rattled, very poised, just a very nice first career start for Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, it's a starting point. We got to remember that. We got to remember that. You know, this was not the same offense that Tennessee had for most of this season. It's not going to be the same offense that Tennessee's going to have starting against Chattanooga next season. So this is a good starting off point. He just doesn't look like he didn't look like a freshman making his first start.
Not at all.
No, he did take 6 sacks. Some of those were on him, trying to extend plays. Some of that were on his protection. Dane Davis got beat for 1. Dylan Sampson got beat for 1. There was one where Sampson looked like he was kind of trying to leak out for like a screen or something to me. But Nico's just really poised. I thought he read the field really well. You saw him go through his progressions. He used his feet really well to scramble. Obviously near the goal line, he was able to find the end zone a couple times, and he was accurate with the football. You know, he could have, you know, there's not, stat line would have looked better had the play to Ramel Keaton. I'm not sure really what happened there. Looked like, you know, I don't think Nico was either, judging by his reaction, but, you know, Keaton makes that play and his stat line looks better. That's
He's over 200 yards and he has 2 passing touchdowns.
Right, and so, you know, a lot of reasons to be excited, but, you know, he's still got to grow. And, you know, some of the 2024 pieces, you know, with the backfield was the same way, right, with Dylan Sampson and Cameron Sullivan. These guys are young. They're not used to playing in these roles, so they're going to get a chance to grow over this offseason. And that's what's exciting is you saw what they did today against a 10-win team. Now you get to see what they're going to be like in 8 months and ready for the season when they've been spending the entire offseason preparing for what they're going to be in.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit on the running backs, Dylan Sampson, first game as RB1 with Jalen Wright and Jabari Small out. Cam Seldon, first game as RB2. Those will be their roles next season, and both were really, really good. Iowa 4th in the nation in rush defense, only allowing 104 rushing yards per game. Dylan Sampson, well over 100 rushing yards, and Cam Seldon around the 50-yard mark, and he was very efficient in his yards per carry, 4.2 yards per carry. Yeah,
I mean, Dylan Sampson is, you know, he got things going a little bit on that 3rd drive, I think. Runs a 19 and 15 yards. Good blocking up front, got him to the 2nd level. Seldon gets in the game, first run, 13 yards. I don't think he had enough, a lot of runs like that later on, but he converted some short yardage situations. He just looks really good for a guy that this is his first year really playing running back. So good patience, good ability to run behind his pads. He's got a long way to go still, but he looks like a hoss out there today. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a really good SEC running back, and pair him with Sampson, that's a good tandem to have, and those guys should get a lot of work as long as they're healthy next season.
Absolutely. And speaking of some hosses, it just wasn't James Pierce Jr. up front defensively. It was the entire defensive line. I mean, Tyree West was phenomenal. Amari Thomas, Elijah Simmons. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. And then the linebackers as well. I mean, you saw the young guys, Jeremiah Thielander, Elijah Herring, Caleb Perry flying around. Jalen Smith had a tackle as well. There's some building blocks defensively and on the back end as well. I think the front is going to have to anchor next year's defense like it did this year. But you started to see some young guys make plays in the secondary. Andre Turrentine had the momentum-changing play of the game when he had that interception early on.
Yeah, I mean, bowl games these days are kind of just one-offs, right? Because they're not really connected, sort of. I mean, it's been a month since he played. And now it's going to be 8 months till they play again. So they're kind of one-offs, but a lot of guys are making plays for Tennessee, even some older guys like Amari Thomas. Those guys are going to be back next season. So that's why I think this win creates a lot of excitement for what Tennessee brings back next season. It's going to be a new team. They're obviously adding a lot of new pieces. There are a lot of guys here today in uniform, ready to join the program full-time next month. And but this is a win that's a reason for a lot of excitement. Tennessee's won 20 games over the past 2 seasons. That's impressive to me. And yeah, the defensive line, that's where it started today, because once they shut down Iowa's run game, Iowa didn't have anything else. They can't throw the ball. They couldn't even take advantage of Tennessee's secondary, as depleted as it was, because every time Iowa would drop back to pass, it was either sack, drop, interception. I mean, they're just miserable. I don't know how people watch that offense over a full season, but Tennessee dominated today like they should have.
Absolutely. They did, and it's now a very important offseason for Tennessee, because if it can have a nice offseason and everybody handle their business from an individual perspective and come together as a team, as the last couple of Heupel teams have at Tennessee, this team has some young pieces that can really make some noise next season if they have a strong offseason. We're going to try to have a strong post-game presence and put up some great content for you all on the site. We've had a ton of content all week long here in Orlando, and the content will continue to flood through the rest of New Year's Day and into tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. So appreciate everybody following along with us here in Orlando. And for Patrick Brown, I'm Ben McKee.